Hello, my name is Jeff Hook, CEO of Communitas Technologies. The world has changed dramatically in the last few years, hasn't it? It's probably not even the same world as when you decided to get into ministry. Technology disruption is all around us, literally changing the way we live our lives. And culture at times, it's changing as rapidly as technology. To make it even worse, COVID hit hard. Nothing like we've ever seen before. And churches everywhere were forced to shut down and put into scramble mode all at the same time. But if we step back from this, the world has been changing since the dawn of history. Slowly at times, faster during other times. The point being, this is new for this generation, yet not new to God, nor new to the overall historical timeline. Unfortunately, due to these changes, the world, your world, has gotten very complex. The truth is we now live in two worlds, one physical, the other digital. Three, if you want to count the spiritual world. And because things are changing so rapidly, the complexity within our lives has compounded exponentially. As our worlds have gotten more complex, there's been an increase in suffering from isolation, loneliness, anxiety, and depression. And these are just the beginning of what we will see in this world. When we talk about isolation, loneliness, anxiety, depression, many of us, especially as parents, automatically jump our thoughts to the youth, and rightly so. According to a new study from the University of Calgary, depression and anxiety symptoms have doubled in children and adolescents globally compared to pre-pandemic times. However, these same issues are plaguing the elderly as well. And first responders, the doctors and nurses are being stretched thin dealing with the COVID crisis, as well as the servicemen and women who have been adversely affected by the trauma of war and the abrupt pullout from Afghanistan, making them believe their sacrifices were all in vain. It is also affecting people who have lost a loved one to the pandemic, and the people who have lost a spouse or a child to an opioid overdose. Yes, that crisis is still going on. And then there are the people who have lost a loved one to the increase of crime in our streets. There appears to be enough pain to go around for all. The fact is, people need Christ and to feel love now as much as any time in history. And historically, this personification of Christ has been the church. So what is the church? Not the buildings, not the programs, not the weekend services, which is what we've become to think church is. What is the church, you and me, going to do about it through our faith communities? Even though the scaffolding of the church is you, the church staff, the church since the beginning of Acts has been the people, not the physical building, not the senior pastor. It is all of us. An outstanding question will remain, what are we going to do about it? Remember how I earlier said we live in two worlds? Right now, while you watch this, we together are living in the digital world. This has been recorded and you can watch it whenever, on your time, wherever you want. Although I'm still getting used to speaking in front of just a camera, this is as real as some of our meetings will get at times. If this is not real, then we've been living in a fake Zoom world much of these passing days. And with the smartphone, just like the physical world, the digital world is part of our lives nearly every waking hour. Technology is affecting every industry, from transportation to hospitality to music to fitness. Companies like Uber, Airbnb, Apple, Peloton, just to name a few, are literally changing the way we live. Yet how has technology changed the local church? I've been in the church technology business now on and off since 2004 when I founded Fellowship Technologies, the software provider behind Fellowship One. When I came over from the corporate world then, church technology adoption was 20 years behind the commercial world. And it's not because viable uses are not here. Technology can help churches fulfill their missions, help execute on their vision, help people live what I like to say more functional Christian lives. But instead of helping create community, assisting in the delivery of discipleship programs, or helping people develop stronger character and healthier identities, or even motivating them to give because they know where the organization is making an impact, Churches primarily instead use technology to help make Sunday mornings, the weekend service, more efficient, more streamlined. In today's world, churches need to look beyond the four walls of the building and engage in people's everyday lives. For the first time, local churches are faced with the need to contemplate what is their digital strategy? How can we use technology to break down the walls of isolation? How can we use technology to help people connect, to build community? How can we use technology to better understand the issues that people are dealing with, both individually as well as within their families and relationships, and within their communities? Pre-pandemic, the average church attendance was down to 1.8 times per month. Stop. Let's think about that. Over half of your congregation is not sitting in the pews on any given Sunday morning. How are you going to serve these people? How would Jesus serve these people if he had had the internet? If they are not there, you can only serve them digitally. Or redo the service? Well, that's not practical, is it? Over time, if you don't serve them, they will go somewhere else. Speaking of going elsewhere, again, pre-pandemic, the stats were that people stayed at a church on average of 3 years before moving out. Let's stop and think about that one for a moment. Sure, there are a number of different reasons for this, but still, it's a startling statistic. In context, when a first-time guest walks through your door, on average, you have 3 years to impact their life, impact their family. If that is the industry average, what is the average at your church? Is that something you even measure? This begs the question, are people getting what they think they need spiritually and emotionally based upon their needs and expectations? If not, are we willing to measure that? The good news about periods of dramatic change, it comes with massive opportunity to do new things because people are willing to do things differently. I'm not sure if there's ever been another time in my life in which such an opportunity has been so great. At Communitas, we believe technology needs to play a much bigger role in the local church and in the kingdom in the following 4 primary ways. Number 1, churches need to collect more and better data. Let's face it, Facebook and Google know more about your congregations than you do. As churches move into digital ministry, more data will be required. Data is the currency of the digital world. Solutions are fed by data. Bad data, incomplete data, it'll affect how much ministry your church can accomplish in the digital world. Most church databases are not much better than glorified Rolodexes, with some families having just enough information in their profiles to check in their children on Sunday morning. As a church, if you truly want to augment your community with more digital ministry, it's going to require that you embrace data in a whole new way. That means determining a data strategy that supports your ministry that includes a data collection strategy that allows you to capture more and better information. Remember, mediocre data will result in mediocre ministry. On to number 2. Churches need to proactively build digital communities. A private online social tool set should be part of every church solution available in the marketplace. Why should we allow Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to gather all this data on our congregations so that retailers will pay them tons of money so others can sell them things they don't even need, let alone want? And even more importantly, these popular social platforms are a time suck. That's a technical term, time suck. Look it up. Driven by algorithms that are trained to suck even more time from us all. It is past time to move to what we call a private media network. Delivering video these days is really cheap. It is time to start using the free stuff just because it's free. Remember what your daddy taught you. There is no free lunch. If someone's not paying for the product, you are the product. Number 3, churches need to use a digital media platform to deliver, track, and enhance discipleship. and offer all kinds of remote Christian education. We are all learning to learn online. In fact, the millennials are probably more used to learning this way than through listening to lectures in the physical world. And because technology can be used to understand who needs help in certain areas by using, quote, intelligent content platforms, churches can provide more personalized ministry that teaches people what they need at that time and for them to be able to consume it anytime and anywhere. For example, a new married couple can take it and participate in a marriage class for newlyweds. Likewise, blended marriages can participate in a class specific to people who have been married before and are bringing children into this next marriage. Those are very different classes dealing with very different life issues. That's what we mean by personalized ministry. It's about their journey, where they are, what they need, not what the pastor decided to preach that last week because it's what came next in the book of Matthew. Number 4, churches need to make giving an act of worship and part of a person's discipleship track. Whether it is giving of someone's time, talent, or treasure, we all believe it is better to give than to receive. Giving should not be a sterile transaction, similar to an e-commerce transaction you'll find on Amazon.com. Go look at how you conduct giving on your website. Does it feel like worship? Now, this may sound a little harsh to some of you, and I may be somewhat offensive, voicing this with bluntness of what the church needs. And I'm sorry if I ever stretch your belief system. But one of the things you will see from Communitas is we will challenge the industry to be better, to be aspirational, to help people truly change from the inside out so that they may live better lives. My favorite verse, John 10:10. He came that we might have life into the full. We want Jesus's words to come true so that comes with the territory. As we move more towards the church of the future, we will realize that there are some things that can be accomplished better in the digital world than in the physical world. Take Nicky Gumbel's comment. He discovered that online alpha classes can teach Muslim women about Christ much easier than in the digital world than in the physical world, because these women would never be seen stepping into a physical church. It's just not going to happen. Or taking a survey of your congregation is much easier in the digital world than in the physical world. Besides, who wants to do all that data entry of responses? And wouldn't you like to know what your people think along their journey? A third example, sending a communication out to the entire church to pray right now for someone who was just in a car accident is so much more timely in the digital world. I could go on and on with further examples, but I'm sure you get the point. Local churches need to embrace digital to better serve their community, not wait to be forced into it because of a necessity such as a pandemic or whatever comes next. Being relevant used to mean delivering a message that the culture could relate to and understand using the language that they understand. That's still true, but it needs to go even further now. It is just as important to deliver a message through a medium that is relevant to how people live today. And that medium is through the smartphone. In time, we think you'll see the greatest value actually come from innovations that create third spaces that fuse the physical and virtual worlds together. But we need to first invest in the digital world now as a place to start. We cannot bring the two worlds together without first jumping into the digital world with both feet. To me, it's not important whether you sprinkle or fully dunk for baptism, but it is time for full submersion into the digital world. People are already there waiting for us. Thank you for your time. Reach out to me anytime at jhook@communitastech.com if you'd like to discuss these or any other topic. And my cell phone is 214-668-9807. Leave an appropriate message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or drop me a text. Again, thanks for your time and grace to you.